Madam President, yesterday the Rules Committee held a hearing on the Democrats' proposal to tilt our entire political system on a partisan basis. It would forcibly rewrite every state's election laws in ways that defy common sense and are deeply unpopular with American voters. It would mandate nearly unrestricted same-day registration. It would mandate big loopholes that would render voter ID almost meaningless. It would make every state legalize ballot harvesting, where paid operatives can turn up carrying big piles of ballots with other people's names on them. Zero chain of custody. Democrats want to hide behind the mantle of voting rights. What they're really proposing is less security, less integrity, and a grab bag of changes that are deeply, deeply unpopular. Just look at the other changes with zero relationship to voting rights that Democrats want to smuggle in behind that smokescreen. This bill would take the Federal Election Commission from an evenly split bipartisan panel to a partisan body so that Democrats could rule unilaterally over politics as well as citizen speech. Turn the neutral judge into a partisan prosecutor. It would send taxpayer money to fund political campaigns. It contains a massive attack on the privacy of citizens who engage in free speech, a massive and intentional gift to cancel culture. It led even the left-wing ACLU to oppose this bill 2 years ago and led senior ACLU lawyers to torch it again in the Washington Post just recently. Democrats are desperate to avoid talking about any of these things. They're desperate to convince the media that a partisan takeover at the F.E.C., socialism for political ad makers, and an assault on free speech and American privacy are all just, quote, voting rights. A shameless bait and switch. I noticed something funny yesterday. Remember, this is the same bill Democrats were shopping around 2 years ago in response to the 2016 election, which they said was a disaster. 2 years ago, Democrats were marketing this bill as a massive shakeup that our broken elections badly needed. Our democracy was in shambles after they lost in 2016. It was broken, they said. It was insecure, they said, and only this sweeping transformation could possibly repair it. Of course, it didn't pass, and the 2020 election came and went without the liberal takeover. And yet Democrats say it was a huge success. Democrats said the 2020 election was beyond reproach. They say the integrity and security were beyond question. They've said only conspiracy theorists would complain about the last election. But curiously enough, they're now still pushing this very same bill. Now, instead of a sweeping transformation, they're trying to say it would just preserve our smoothly functioning system so state legislatures can't mess it up. So let's get this straight. 2 years ago, in 2019, Democrats suggested this bill was a bold, radical overhaul for a broken system. In the meantime, what happened was they got an election they liked. And now they claim the exact same legislation just does a few modest things to protect our system just the way it is. What utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. This legislation has but one goal, just one. It's only ever had one goal, just one. That goal was the same in 2019 as it is today. And that goal is to let Washington Democrats rig the rules of democracy from top down to hide that partisan project behind the smokescreen of voting rights.